to the first media consulting podcast, The Business Chronicles.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. I am delighted to introduce to you Mel Bynum. He's the owner of Senior CompuCare Suncoast, and just wanted to kind of share with everybody his successes, why he decided to join Senior CompuCare as an owner for Suncoast. Mel, how you doing?
I'm doing good, DDA. How are you?
I am doing awesome. Thanks for asking. So today's episode, we dive into the mind of successful business owners like yourself, and we discover their aha moments, the key decisions that drive success, behind them, right?
Yeah.
And we also would like for you to give aspiring advice to these entrepreneurs or people who are wanting to become a business owner, regardless of what industry. And I know with your success over the many years, I'm sure we can work towards that goal as well on this episode.
Okay,
so
great.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that being said, let's go right into and talk a little bit, tell our listeners about your background.
Okay. First, I want to thank you for including me in the podcast.
You're very welcome.
And hopefully I can help you and other people who are interested. As far as my background, I'll try not to be too long because I've been around for a while. I'm going to go back to my high school, college years to show you a connection. I attended Brooklyn Automotive High School. My goals there were to become a mechanic and work as a mechanic. I had no other goals at that time because I was a high school kid. So while I was doing that, I said, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. So I looked into other things and I said, maybe I'll look into becoming a mechanical engineer, an automotive mechanical engineer. My goal there was to go to college, get my degree, and move to Detroit and become an engineer. That was my goal. Well, things change.
As they always do, right?
As they always do. But I did get to go to college. I did get to complete and get my degree. But along the way, I started to learn about other things going on in the world. And I read in a newspaper that IBM was hiring. And I said, maybe I should look into this. I mean, I didn't know nothing about the corporate world at the time. So I basically wrote them a resume. They responded and asked me for an interview. I was really nervous, by the way. Asked me for an interview. I attended the interview and I was accepted. And at the time, I'm going back a ways now, DDA. This was back in 1977. At the time, I was accepted to be a customer engineers, we called it, servicing typewriters and desktop copiers. So I went to training, and this was in New York City, by the way.
Okay.
I went to training. I completed the training. They put me out in the field. Again, this was something new, very new to me. First time working with customers at this level. These were corporation customers. I was in Midtown Manhattan. Had a territory that was only 2 square blocks, but a lot of big office buildings. And I worked at that for quite a while. And I enjoyed it on top of that. Back and forth to work, wearing a suit, because IBM was very formal at the time. Suit, tie, white shirt every day. But meeting a lot of interesting people. I moved around the city. They put me in various territories. I met people in the extremes. I've met people who were movie stars and people who were politicians. And the other extreme, I worked in places like Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, and classrooms and all kinds of things. So the point was that it built my experience. It built my background. It built my knowledge of not only customers, but people and what they do. Well, they allow me to do that for about 6 years. And they said, Mel, we want to move you into something else. So what they did was assign me into what we called divisional headquarters. It wasn't made headquarters. It was a headquarters for that division. I worked that for a while, doing various assignments. And then finally, that was around the same time that the personal computer was announced. So now you got me. Now you're aging me. The personal computer was announced, IBM announced it, and they made the decision to install personal computers on the desktops of all the employees in corporate headquarters. And they asked me at the time, Mel, do you want to do this? You have a background with working with typewriters. You probably would do okay with computers. I said, okay, I'll give it a try. So they put me an assignment in installing. It wasn't just me; it was a staff of people working with me, installing computers, upgrading computers. To at the time, I'm going to guess maybe 2,000 employees in corporate headquarters. So that lasted for about 3 years because it was not only installing, but also we had to do upgrades. From there, they moved me into education. And there, I started becoming an instructor. I taught classes on mainframe products and applications and transitioned over to personal computer products and applications. And excuse me, I'm going to get a sip to drink.
No, absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. So we did that. I did that. And then from there, we went into course development, did some course development for a while. And from there, I went and did some self-study courses, developed some of those. And then IBM decided it was going to do less classroom and more self-study, as we called at the time, e-learning courses. And those were courses that we were either developing internally or that we vended from the outside. And at the time, this was for every employee. At the time, IBM had about 350,000 employees.
Wow. So
we managed the installation and the tracking of about 10,000 courses, and myself and the team that worked for me. So we did that. I did that right through, another 6 to 8 years. It was very involved. There was a lot of work to do, but it was a lot of interesting work. So towards the end of my career with them, I started doing a task that were related, customer service, help desk, that sort of thing. And then IBM decided that they were going to do some cutting back. And they asked me if, they didn't ask me, I was told basically it was time to retire. So that was it. Bottom line was 31 years with IBM.
31 years with IBM.
Yep.
And over those many years, you actually learned so much when it came to your field.
Yes.
And developed an expertise, which led you into my next question.
Yes.
So what made you decide to get involved with your company, Senior CompuCare, as an owner for Suncoast?
Well, when I retired, I moved down to Florida from New York and wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So in the beginning, I decided to do some volunteer work, working in the public library, which had a classroom. And I was an assistant instructor there. So it was very common for me. It was something I identified with. But the one thing that happened was at the end of the courses, people would come to me face to face and say, Mel, this was a good course. Thanks for your help. But can you help me with this? Or can you help me with that? Can you come to my house and help me with this? And I said, sure, yeah. Well, what would you charge? And I said, well, I don't know. We'll come up with something. But the library approached me and said, Mel, you can't do that. I said, what can I do? You can't solicit people on the property of the library. And I said, okay. I said, then I think I'm be more happy leaving my volunteer work and starting to help people. And shortly after that is when I met you, DDA, and Shirley, and we chatted quite a bit. It was very close to what I was doing, almost exactly what I was already doing. And Senior CompuCare was where I decided to go, and been with you guys for going on 6 years now.
Absolutely. And so, we appreciate that. So what is it that really inspired, when you're doing these trainings, right, with individuals or businesses, what is the same thing what are you finding out there in terms of people wanting services or wanting to help when it comes to computers and technology?
Well, it varies. But in my area where I am, which is Citrus County, Florida, there's a lot of seniors, and a lot of them have computers. They have family members who would help them when they were in town, but when they left, they didn't help them as much. And that's a story I would hear from a lot of them. So I told them, look, here's my business card. I'll help you today if you need help beyond this. And it has happened multiple times where I've gone back. Let me know. And so not only did I do training with them, but I obviously did repair work with them as well. So it was I told them I hopefully helped them with just about everything that they needed. And so I just was able to help quite a few people over the years. And the message was consistent in that they wanted to use their computer, but they couldn't use it the way they knew it could be used.
Do you think that a lot of it was having to do with being afraid of the computer?
Yeah, to a degree. I think they were a little bit intimidated. I think they weren't sure whether things would work the way they wanted to. Various things like email and just doing things on the internet were, tasks that they wanted to understand a little better than they did. So that's where I helped them. I helped them a lot with those areas.
I like that. So what is it that drives you, or what's the secret to your success?
I try to be friendly. I try to listen. A lot of the seniors, and I think anybody who has that type of customer set will identify with the fact that a lot of seniors not only want help, but they want to talk. And they want to tell you things. And it's really good to be able to listen. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking of something too, in terms of doing remote trainings. Do you find yourself doing a lot of that where you don't have to go to your clients' homes, but you're doing a lot more remote?
Yeah, that's starting to transition more. And part of that is I'm able to schedule a lot easier with customers, and the pricing part of it makes it interesting as well, because we adjust our pricing, as you know, based on the fact that we don't have to travel.
Absolutely.
And it takes less time to get to them. So they find that as an advantage. And the way we work is we watch and work with them. We connect with them when our computers to theirs. And as we go through lessons with them, we have them do the hands-on. We have them being able to ask questions, and we help them along the way.
I like that. I like that a lot. So, there's a number of listeners on this that are listening to us, this podcast, and they want to, they're thinking about becoming entrepreneurs or business owners. Any advice that you could give them?
Do your homework. Number one is do your homework. I had looked in before Senior CompuCare. I was looking at other business opportunities, and one of the things I found out is don't just jump into it. Do your homework. Do a business plan. A lot of people, it's a lot of work to do it, but it makes a lot of sense. I've done business plans for other types of businesses and came out of it saying, nope, either it's not for me, or it's not the type of business that I want to be in, or it's not going to work as far as being profitable for me. But yeah, that's a key thing to me, is to do your homework, take your time, look at your surroundings, do as much research as you can to help you make the right decision.
Well, Mel, this has been awesome. Can you give or provide our listeners your phone number as well as the website that they can get a hold of you?
Yes. Phone number, area code 352-410-7196. And by way of the website, you can get to a hold of me, would be seniorcompucare.com. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram.
Well, Mel, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to interact, share your successes, share your journey to where you're at today with our listeners. And hopefully in the near future, we can have you back.
Okay, my pleasure, Didier. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for tuning in to First Media Consulting Podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, subscribe today. To nominate a business you would like to recommend to be on our show, go to firstmediaconsulting.com or call. Thank you for listening.